This is the island of Santa Catalina, a mountain range rising out of the Pacific Ocean just off the coast of Southern California. During the months of summer and fall, this island is a playground for tourists and the other residents of Los Angeles County. But in the month of March, when the hills are still green, this rugged island becomes a test for hundreds of runners, a test that is called the Catalina Marathon.
No, I know.
There are other marathons that have hills in the middle, or hills at the beginning, or hills at the end.
It's been a good life.
But none come close to having hills throughout, the whole distance. And on this course, the runners will be faced with a hill and a challenge of a hill along every mile of the way.
As the start of the marathon draws near, some of the potential winners, such as 35-year-old Frank Bozanich, are predicting a new course record.
I think the course record will go today, I think. It should, from what it's been in the past, because they got a better field. So the 2:45 should go.
Who's going to do it?
V-Hill's got a good shot. I think I can go under the old record, so it's hard to say who's going to do it. But I'm sure it'll go.
You know when you step up to that line whether or not you're going to do well, for the most part. Because you know especially if you've been here before, you know what it takes to do well. And in order to do well, you have to put in the miles before you get here. And if that isn't possible, then you're just going to have to be sensible enough to sit back and just enjoy it. Otherwise, you'll crash.
You really got to believe in yourself, If you don't believe that you've done it, there's no way you're going to do it. Like you could go out here tomorrow and have doubts about your training. You think, shit, I haven't done any long runs, or I haven't done any pace work, and it'll hit you, that sort of thing will come back on you. But if you go out there, and maybe you've trained a little bit inadequately, but if you believe you've trained right, you'll get through it. I've proved it to myself. It's belief in what you've done, knowing that you can do it. It's half the battle.
Runners, go! Hey! 6 seconds to the starting line, John.
200 yards into the race, 29-year-old Charlie Pablo V-Hill has taken the lead. As the last runners leave the starting line, V-Hill is challenged by Bozanich. A former record holder at 50 miles, Bozanich has the experience and stamina to win this marathon. But does he have the speed to match V-Hill's record pace? As the front runners leave Cherry Cove, V-Hill has increased his lead while Bozanich has dropped to 4th place. James Howard is in 2nd place with 3-time winner Bill McDermott running 3rd. As V-Hill enters the first major uphill challenge of this course, McDermott moves into 2nd place, waiting for the leader to slow down. But this is V-Hill's forte. Running up mountains for him is a natural form of running. consistent winner in European mountain races, he loves this kind of competition, just to see how fast he can run uphill.
The challenge of the hill is to get to the top feeling good, so you don't get wasted going up the hill. You've got to feel good. Your legs have got to feel good. They can't be fatigued in any way when you get to Little Harbor, and that's the challenge.
I didn't think I could ever scare a herd buffalo, but hey, man, that's cool.
39:18. Water.
At the 5-mile mark, this aid station is a welcome sight for most runners. The temperature is starting to rise in the canyons. At this point in the marathon, it's crucial to keep up your body's fluid level. Charlie Vigil is well out in front now. With a lead of several minutes over McDermott and the others, he's already passed the second major section of hills. This is Little Harbor. An incredible vista of pristine beauty awaits the runners who meet this challenge.
That's a long, grinding hill, and you go up a small hill and you come back down and you make such a sharp turn you almost have to stop running to maneuver the turn. And then you have to do this a good mile grind to the 10-mile mark. But once you get there, it's well worth it because the view is just spectacular.
In this area known as Middle Ranch, runners have a chance to pick up some speed. One of the few flat areas on this course, it's nothing like the Pump House Hill just ahead. The Pump House Hill is 19 miles into the course. An aid station here gives some relief from the sun, a burning sun that robs runners precious bodily fluids. For most runners, it's a devastating climb to the top.
It's steep enough to where you have to adjust your stride, and it comes at a point where you're tired enough to where it really bothers you. And you get to the top of this dirt road, you get onto the pavement, and all you see is up from there. You know, if you're not feeling right on top of things, that's going to really hurt you.
21 miles and Vigil is maintaining a record pace. He has one more series of hills left with a view of Avalon in the distance. This is probably the most difficult part of the race. There's no aid station, there are no spectators, and there's virtually no contact with any runner. This is where fatigue can take its toll. The last 2 miles are downhill. Vigil's legs and back are taking a tremendous beating. With his speed and the force of gravity behind him, every stride is 4 times his body weight. Just seconds behind, if Vigil stumbles or falls, McDermott could pass him up. As the course flattens out through the Wrigley Memorial, Vigil is in pain as he nears the finish line.
Oh, hell, this is worse than uphill. Well, it kills your back.
Charlie Vigil has set a new course record of 2 hours 37 minutes. That pace helped Bill McDermott, James Howard, and the ancient marathoner Jack Foster all break the old record of 2 hours 45 minutes.
Okay.
Pablo, I beg your pardon. How was it out there today?
Well, it wasn't easy, that's for sure.
10 years of your sex life, I reckon.
I'll come back again, too. It's the greatest race around.
There really is an end to this thing, huh?
It hurts too much. I don't care about it. I don't care if they pass me.
PR, guys! Pretty excited.
Ladies and gentlemen, comment.
People are beautiful, the terrain and the island's beautiful. I mean, how can I say anything else?
Congratulations. You did really well. How do you feel?
Young lady, back into the finish area here.
Boy, what a race. You did great. Let's just walk a little. She's got a little sore leg. We gotta keep moving there a little bit, guys. Oh, yeah. Yes, you do.
Where the beer is.
You sure there's no beer?
Our 1981 Nike Catalina Marathon champions, Jacqueline Hansen, Pablo Vigil.
Athletic shoes are generally constructed around models of the human foot, called lasts. Although there are a variety of lasts used in the production of running shoes, they usually fall into one of two basic categories: curved lasts or straight lasts.
A curved last is what you see in most running shoes. It's also called an inflared last or a banana last. Basically, the rear part of the shoe has a particular axis to it, and the front part of the shoe is rotated inward. In a straight-lasted shoe, like the Nike shoes such as the LDV and Daybreak, the axis of the rear part of the shoe is almost identical to the axis of the front part of the shoe. So this last is straight, this last is curved or inflared. There are certain runners that will perform better in a curved last and certain that will perform better in a straight last.
The shape of your foot will help determine which style of last is best suited for you. There are many types of feet, as there are people, but researchers usually group them into three areas. Normal feet. Feet that have average-sized arches tend to be fairly straight when standing. High-arched feet. Feet which tend to be quite rigid, also tend to be quite curved when standing. That is, the front part of the foot is rotated inward to form a C shape. And flat feet. Feet which have practically no arch tend to be the straightest when standing.
So we're talking about three different types of feet, and we're talking about those three different types of feet having different shapes. Another thing that enters into the equation is that when feet are standing, they have a different shape than when they're moving. And normal feet tend to take on more the configuration of a high arch foot during certain phases of the stance phase in running. as you run faster and as you roll forward on your foot, the foot tends to take on more of a C shape and become less straight. As you run at slower speeds, there tends to be less of a change in shape in the foot. It tends to remain straighter.
So, based on what they have learned so far, Dr. Frederick and his staff at Nike Sport Research Center offer the following words of advice.
People that have normal feet who run fast then, and people that have high arch feet generally prefer an inflared last and will find better support and a more comfortable fit while running in that particular last. People that run slower, on the other hand, or people that have flat feet, which tend to be straighter in all phases of running, tend to prefer a straighter last, one that accommodates the resting foot in a more straight configuration of the foot.
Nike curved-lasted shoes include the Columbia, the Aurora, the Yankee and Lady Yankee, and the Internationalist. Nike straight-lasted shoes include the Tailwind, the Tempest, the Daybreak, and the LDV. Because feet, like Nike shoes, are not created equal.